You might have noticed as I've been editing this image that there are a number of areas here, right, that are having some specks, especially in the sky here. Probably this is due to dust on my sensor. I think I counted at least 5 or 6 of them throughout the sky. So next we'll talk about how to fix problems like this, or in general just how to remove problems or and items from your image that are not wanted. So sometimes this works well, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll go over to the band-aid tool here, which is called the healing tool. And below the healing tool, we find 3 separate options. So the first is the eraser here. So this just uses some probably an AI of some sort that does an analysis on the area that you select. And let's just try it. So we have the size of this. It's how many pixels or whatever, or how big the coverage is. That's not pixels. So it's how large relatively the size of the area that you're trying to erase. And then the opacity is how opaque your result is. So it's like 100% opaque would be completely replacing all the pixels in the area, or you could do some level less, which is blending the opacity of what you're replacing with what was there before. So if we just try this, if we say 100% opacity and we go over here, we pick one of these speck areas here, we can see that it did something. So if we go here now, it looks like it did a relatively good job erasing it. I'm not even sure if I can even see exactly where the dot was. So it seems like it did a pretty good job. Blended in all the colors. And I think that looks good. So if we go back here, oh, there's the spot right there, which I couldn't even tell where that was. So the eraser tool did a relatively decent job erasing. So that's one way to fix problems. So obviously with the opacity, if we reduce this, potentially, yeah, you can see that the dot comes back here because we're not completely overwriting the original pixels that were in that area of the image. So let's try this with a few of the other tools here. We have the healing tool. So what this does is it takes the selected area and it finds an area of similar nature and colors and shading and stuff, and it will kind of blend the area that it picks with the existing area to remove whatever the problem is. So again here you can see that it actually left part of the problem there. So let's see, why did it do that? Oh, the opacity is really low. So if we increase the opacity, we should be able to completely remove items from the, let's see, something is off here because this should overwrite the entire thing. I think the feather is probably too high here. So if we reduce the feather a little bit, we should be able to have the same effect as with the content aware fill, which we are not having. So you can see it reduces it, but it's not completely eliminating. So if we don't feather, it's still there. We make it 100% opaque. I think that should work. There we go. Now it's gone. You can see again it did a pretty good job. I don't think if I was staring at this image I'd be able to find the exact location where it replaced it. So again, this tool, the healing tool, it blends the pixels from the area that it's replaced. It picks to replace this area, and then it blends everything together. So obviously if you don't like what it picked, you can pick something else. Obviously with this sky, it's pretty consistently colored and lit, then you can just pick anywhere and it would mostly do a good job. So the last tool is the clone or clone stamp tool, and this one does not do the same blending of the pixels in the area. So it picks a different area and it overwrites the pixels in that area, and then it'll blend potentially some of the stuff in the feather area, but the actual pixels that it's replacing, it doesn't actually do any blending on those like the healing tool would. And again, you can see here for purposes of removing dust specks, like this seems to be doing about as good of a job as the other tools. And so once you've figured out how to use these tools, right, it becomes very simple. Like, so see there's a dust speck here, and another dust speck here, here, there. There's another one over here. So yeah, all these can just be really quickly corrected, and then if you deselect it and look at it, I'm really not seeing too many more dust specks. So basically, that's one of the most useful things. So let's say we had a different use case. Let's say I didn't like the paraglider over here. So let's say we want to remove this one over here for whatever reason. We can just click there, and now there's no paraglider there, right? And then we have a single paraglider in the middle of our image, and maybe that's what we were looking for. Maybe we didn't want the second one there. So that would be one way to edit this. So yeah, so you can remove things from any part of the image. Some of it, let's pick an area here. Let's say I don't like one of these rocks here. So let's say this one. This is pretty isolated. We should be able. So let's do the content aware fill. So we'll reduce the size of our area here, this, and then we'll select that there. We'll see what's it gonna do. So it removed that rock. So now that rock is gone. Maybe we didn't like it for whatever reason. So isolated objects, you can see it does a relatively good job of blending it. If you look really closely, you can probably tell that it erased something here. Like, but it's difficult. It did a relatively good job. So now if we try something that's not so isolated. Right, let's just say we want to remove part of this rock here. All right, it does an okay job of it. Actually, that did surprisingly better than I expected. But yeah, it will, there will be areas, right, where it will really break down. So if we picked the middle of this rock, let's see what it does. Yeah, see, it didn't know what to do. It kind of just darkened the whole area or something. Yeah, so that really didn't have any reasonable effect. But once you start having the overlaps, like it'll break down at some point. If we try here, let's see what that does. Yeah, see, it does weird things because it's not sure what you want to remove when you're when you're selecting areas like this. So within reason, right, this tool can be used to remove just anything from your image, and especially with the sky or any solid colored surface that would have dust specks from your sensor showing up in it. It's pretty great at removing those things.